Hey yo, how's it going guys? Tech with Joel here. And in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to create a Flask meme app using Python, Flask, and the request module. So let me show you a quick demo of what we're going to be building in Python. So this is what we're going to be building in Python, a memes website using the Flask and the request module. So yeah, I want to make this video a quick one. So without further ado, let's get started. But here's a review of what we're going to be building. Okay, I think that's yeah. So let's get started with creating the app. So the first thing we'll need is to install our packages. So we can come over to our terminal over here and say pip install Flask. I'm also going to be installing request. So I'm going to do request. Of course, if you are using Flask, that means you're not a newbie to Python, so you know how to install packages using pip module. Sorry, using the pip package manager. So after installing it, left for me, I've already installed this on my system, so I don't really need to install it again. But if you have not worked with Flask before, or you're using a virtual environment, or you just want to follow this tutorial, I advise you install the Flask and then the request module in order to follow this tutorial. So after installing these packages, which left for me I've already installed, you can come over to your favorite code editor, probably Sublime or Visual Studio or whatever. Even and then you start importing our module. So first, we are going to import the um request module. So I'm going to do import requests, okay? And then this is going to help us to get URLs. It's going to help us to reference URLs and then get requests and responses using the URLs. So after I'm going to import, we're going to say from Flask. Remember, we also install Flask, so I'm going to import the Flask app. So this is Flask. What these two libraries does, or what this two statement does in this code, I don't really need to explain it to you, because if you are exploring Flask, meaning you know how these two work. So yeah, we're importing the request library which we installed previously, and then the Flask class from the Flask package which we also installed previously. After that, we need to initialize our Flask. So we're going to do app is going to be equal to Flask. Okay, we're going to set it to a name magic function. So name. If you don't know how magic functions work, you can check out the Flask documentation. It's going to throw more light on how the magic function in the Flask class actually works. So after that, we're going to say if underscore main name equals actually underscore main. Then once we run our app, we're going to say app.run. Now I'm going to set debug to true. So of course, what this line of code does is that if our name, which is this our app over here, is running our main file, which is our app.py, then we want to run this our app over here. And this our app over here, remember, is assigned to the class of Flask. So the class of Flask has a method of run, which actually runs the class Flask, the class or the code in the Flask class. I don't know how I'm going to say that. So after that, we're going to set debug to true, so that we can see errors and debug them more easily. So without further, let's get started. So yeah, between these two spaces, that's where we're going to write our code. So I'm going to say at app.route. I'm going to put a slash over here. So if you guys don't know how URL works is that, let's say I go to a website, something like www.google.com, right? Now this is the home page of Google. If I go to my browser, let's say I copy this and go to my browser, and then I paste it in my browser, what happens is that it takes me directly to the Google page. So whatever we see in the Google page is specified in this route over here, the slash route. So let's say I want to build a website. So whatever I want to see the first time my client goes into my website is supposed to be in the slash route. There are also other routes. Let's say slash maybe whatever the user searches for. Let's say the user search for, or let's just say www.google.com/images. Okay, that will be when the user clicks on an image and then it takes him to the images route, which is another page where images are found. Or let's just say slash videos. Okay, and then /1. So that this will take him to a video, to the video section, and then inside the video section, it's going to take you to the first video inside the video section. So that's how routes work. Just in case you guys don't know how routes work, but of course you should know how routes works if you are exploring Flask. So we're going to do def to create a function under our app.route. We're going to say app should be, we're going to call our function home. Okay, then we're going to set it to, of course, parentheses. That's how we create functions in Python. And then we're going to, inside this our function, we're going to create a URL. So I'm going to paste it over here. This is our URL. Our URL is assigned to a link over here, right? So from this link, we're going to be getting those crazy memes you saw previously in our browser. All these memes over here are found inside this URL over here. So inside this URL, we're going to get in those memes using our request module. So after that, we're going to say response. Okay, response is going to be request.get. We're going to get a URL. So now, in short, how this guy works is that, remember we imported our request module over here, right? And then from the request module, we're going to access a method called get, and the method takes in one parameter or one argument called URL, and URL is this our URL over here. Remember we assigned this host string into this URL variable over here, right? So we're going to put the URL over here. So what the request does is that it's going to get the data from the URL and then return it as a response for us. So what we're going to do is, what we did is that using the request module, we get our URL, which is this URL over here, and then assign it to the response variable over here. And then after that, we're going to say memes is going to be equal to response.json. Okay, and then what this whole function does is that now that we have gotten the response that we want the response to be in a JSON-like format, so that we can be able to display it or manipulate it the way we want. So yeah, if you guys don't know what JSON is is a JavaScript object notation. So essentially, to simplify or define what JSON is, let's just say JSON is a bunch of let me say a bunch of data types inside data types. So you can have something like a dictionary here, right? And then we can say one going to be column what we'll call this again, list, right? And then the list is going to have strings of, let's say this, and then this, and then whatever. And after that, we can have something like this, probably 2, and this will be equal to, let's say, a tuple of 0, 0, 0. So it's a bunch of data types inside a response. So using this now, we can be able to get this data inside here, we can be able to get data inside here, and so on. So that's how we want our response to be. So we want to get our response using a JSON-like format, and after that, we want to return our memes, which is our response in JSON. So after returning our memes, we don't really need to call this function actually, since it's under the app.route, right? So we can just run our app. So I'm going to save over here, come over to my terminal, come over here. If you are using a fancy editor, probably Visual Studio Code, you can click on the run button to run your app. But if you are not doing that, then you just need to go to your project directory and then open your command prompts there and then run your app. So I'm going to do python app.py, right? And then run it over there. So um and here we go. As you can see, it tells us that it's running on HTTP localhost 5000. And reason why I said localhost, as you can see, it says HTTP 127.0.0.1:5000, right? So this 127.0.0.1 or this IP address over here, I don't know what you guys call it. Instead of writing 127.0.0.1, you can actually write localhost instead of 127.0.0.1. To demonstrate this more, you have to find what. We'll just go to this link over here, this 127.0.0.1, okay? So I'm going to say http double dot slash slash, right? And then 127.0.0.1 and then colon 5000 and then hit enter. You get a JSONified data from here. So as you can see, it has a count of 50. You have memes over here, which is a dictionary over here, which is set to a list, and the list has another dictionary which carries the author, the NSSW, the link, and the preview, which is the images. So let's say I click on one of these images over here now. If I click on it, it's going to redirect me to the image, as you can see over here. My phone, when I gently touch on whatever. So yeah, this is the data we're going to be destructuring. This is the data we're going to be destructuring, and then we're going to be getting each of these links and then putting it inside a HTML image tag and displaying this link so that we can get our images. So first, in order to create templates or images in our app over here, first, after importing our flags, we need to import our render underscore template. Okay. Now, after that, we are going to return. What we're going to do is say, inside our memes that returns our response.json, I'm going to put a square bracket over there. Since it's a dictionary, we can access each of the square brackets, and whatever what we want to access is this memes over here, right? Which is meme over here, this memes variable. Sorry, this meme string over here. So I'll come over here and say memes. So it's only going to return the memes we want. So after that, we're going to do return render template, and then we're going to render our home.html, which we have not created yet, and then we're going to return another thing called memes, and then that one meme should be equal to this memes over here. Okay, so yeah, if you have not worked with Flask before, then if you want to display HTML, if you want to display HTML if you want to display HTML packages, sorry, if you want to display HTML markup in your app, just as we displayed previously in the demo I gave you, you have to create a templates app in your root directory. So I'm going to create one here. Templates folder, you create whatever HTML file you want. So you create a home.html file. Actually, if you don't create a templates folder, the Flask app won't be able to recognize your HTML folder, your HTML markup, or your HTML file. So it is compulsory for you to create a templates folder inside your HTML, inside your root directory, and then you create whatever HTML files you want. You put it inside the templates folder. Again, it is compulsory for you to create a templates folder in your root directory, whatever you are creating in Flask app, and then inside that templates folder, you add whatever HTML files you want to display on your website, and then yeah, you come over here, you import the render template which is over here, and then you display the home.html file. So you don't actually need to do something like template slash. It's not compulsory, you don't really need to do this. The Flask app has already detected that this is actually a template file. It's expecting you to create all your markup inside your template file, inside your template folder. So you create your markup files or your HTML files inside your templates folder, and then you just import them by saying home.html, which is your first variable inside your first argument inside the render template method. And this memes equals memes. I'm going to explain what this code does when we go into our home.html. So let me explain what is happening over here. Remember in my app.py, after passing my home.html file, I said memes should be equal to memes, right? Now, whenever I pass any other argument in the render template, let's say I say memes should be equal to memes over here, I can access it in my home.html using Ginger template syntax. So now the Ginger template syntax help you to destructure or do Python stuff. Let's say it can help you to do for loop, if, and while loops inside HTML packages. So inside HTML files, please, whenever I say packages, I mean files. Like for example, over here we did a for loop. We said for meme in memes. So now the memes is what we passed over here. So I can call this anything, like let's say comedy, right? So you can say comedy is equal to memes, right? And when I come over here, I have to update this as comedy. Okay, so whatever I pass over here can be accessed in any HTML file which is rendered inside the render template over here. I hope you guys understand that. If you don't know how the Ginger template syntax works, if you want me to throw more light on it, please just comment down below. I'm going to release a video before the end of the week, so that I'll be releasing a video to explain the Ginger syntax or the Ginger template more, or you can just check out their documentation. It throws more light on it. So yeah, if you are coming from Django, you should know how the Ginger syntax actually work. Well, using this curly braces and the percentage syntax, I'm able to do for loops, while loops, if and else statements, right? And then using two curly braces inside any HTML file that is being rendered by a Python app, I'll be able to render something like variables, functions, or whatever. So of course, this guy over here was a variable which was assigned to this response variable over here, who collects the JSON data. So what we're doing is we're assigning it to this memes variable here, right? And then we're passing it to this HTML file. And then in this HTML file, we're looping over it. So we're going to say for meme in, not comedy now, memes, right? And then for meme in memes, we're displaying whatever we get from inside this meme variable over here. So now the meme we are getting, we want to get the meme.url. So now the URL we're talking about here is this URL over here. this one over here, right? And now this one over here is an image of the um meme that we're displaying on our web page. So it's kind of like complicated stuff, but don't worry, you'll get the hang of it very soon. So yeah, that's essentially what it does. So in this source, we display the URL, which is going to show the image, and then in the alt tag, just in case the image is not available, I'm going to show the title of the image. And then after that, we show the title of the image in a H2 tag, and then we end our for loop. Take note that in Ginger template syntax, once you start something like a for loop, you have to end it. So let's say I do something like an if statement. Let's say I do if I is equal to something like, let's say 20. I have to end the if, right? End if. Then I can come over here to can say display the I, okay, or whatever. Can write anything. That's how this Ginger settings template syntax actually work. Like I said, if you want me to release a video on it, a thorough course on it, if you want me to use a course that teach you how to use the Ginger template syntax, please write it in the comments below. I'm going to release a course that teach you how to use the Ginger template syntax in Flask and probably Django. So yeah, that's all we want to do for our meme app. So let's run our code and see how it works. So let's come over here again. Remember, our development server, I did not stop it, so yeah, let's come over here and run our development server again. All right, so as you guys can see, our meme source start showing images just as we wanted. So as you can see Groot over here, baby Groot to baby Yoda stealing his spotlight and whatever. So as you can see, it's showing our images just like we wanted, but yet our images is too big and we will need a little bit of CSS to style up everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of CSS to show you guys how to add CSS in Flask. So yeah, let's come over here. We're going to create in our root directory again, we're going to create a static folder, and then in the static folder we're going to create a styles.css file. Now in this styles.css, in order to use our styles.css, but first, yeah, in order to use our styles.css, we have to add it to our home.html page over here, right? So in order to do that, all you simply have to do is to create a link tag. So that is a link tag over here, right? And then the href tag, I'm going to say URL for. Then I'm going to say static. Then the file name is going to be equal to styles.css. So yeah, what the URL for does is that it references a specific URL or a specific subfolder in a directory. So a subfolder we're referencing is the static folder over here, right? Which is in our root directory. So the static folder, which is this, has a file name called style.css. So yeah, the file name is style.css, which of course is going to be added to our, which is going to be our styles.css. So that's all it does. There's nothing special about it. Remember, we have to put in our href tag so as to be a link to our CSS styles. if you know HTML, you should know how to use href tag, so this should not be a problem for you. So I'm going to put a slash over here to end this, right? Uh, Now after doing that, in our styles of CSS, I'm going to start adding sub styles. So yeah, I've added the size of CSS in my CSS file over here. So I just give the card width of 100, and then the height should be auto, and then make it cover, and some other simple styles over here. I'm going to remove this button, I don't really need it. Okay, so after all of this, let's just go into our app and reload again. So yeah, I'm going to reload this file again. Actually, not file, we're going to reload our browser again, since my development server is on, right? And here we go. With the little CSS I added to the HTML, as you can see, our main websites have started showing. And yeah, it's a pretty cool website with different memes. So you can add up your own CSS and make this more better. Yeah, I think you should add up your own CSS and make all of this way more better than what is being shown here. Our CSS is not as clean as I expected. So yeah, maybe make the image width same, and probably make it responsive on all devices. So it's your choice. Anyway, as long as it's your choice, you can choose to do all those stuff. But anyway, watching, if you do like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in another one. Until then, take care and peace.